What?
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 To all you pregnant ladies, I direct this rhyme.
This song is called She Got a Bump. That is what this song is called. Y'all know how we do. That's right. We're going to bump on the show. The show that we're referring to is the Daily Fantasy NBA show, Insiders TV, sponsored by DraftDay.com. And want to thank our special guest that we have on today's show, Mr. Drew Dinkmeyer.
How you doing, buddy?
And Mr. Scott Melwig. They can't even see my arm, so it doesn't. I was gonna do it like like the weatherman, but doesn't work. Such is life. Drew Dinkmeyer from RotoExperts.com. He and Mike Leone do the Daily Fantasy Rundown there. And then also, Drew, you look really short today.
Yeah, my camera is like... my camera got knocked over or something. I'm trying to...
Oh. While you're... There you go. Much better. Like your head was like barely above the bar for Drew Dinkmeyer.
Yeah. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, we want to raise the bar a lot higher. And then this jokester right here just moved his camera. So you guys are matchy-matchy today with your shirts.
Yeah, we are.
Very nice. But Scott Melwig at sports_25 to life. Do you know how long, Scott, it took me to realize like where the hash, what's it called, underscore comes in the sports 25 to life? It basically I didn't get it until I was saying it on the show.
Underscores are the worst. If I would have thought of this when I made my Twitter handle originally, I never would have included them. They're the worst.
So basically, like whenever I type in sports underscore, like your name still doesn't come up on Twitter. Like I've got to type out the whole freaking word. And it really bums me out sometimes.
I'm glad that you go through all that trouble to tweet me. I'm very glad.
Well, you're welcome. Sometimes it's to basically make fun of you, so it's worth it. But tonight is the Super Wednesday night. Lots of games. Hopefully, I'm going to be channeling my inner Davis Maddock today. And I'm going to be like, everything you guys say, I'm going to go against you and hope it pays off handsomely for me tonight. Because that's basically what Davis did last night. He crushed it. And we were making fun of him. I mean, I can't tell you how much I laughed at the whole CP3 over Dragic thing. I mean, it was bad. But he did really well, and and I didn't. I mean, let's call it what it is. So let's get into some of the news of the day, because there is a lot. The trade deadline's coming tomorrow, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Scott, what's in the cup?
Water.
Oh. Gotcha.
Nothing exciting.
Gotcha. Water in the red Solo cup.
That's how we do it in the Draft Day office. We drink everything out of red Solo cups.
That's how we do it in the South, too. So, big news of the day is that DeMarcus Cousins is doubtful. You've got Bogut, who's already been confirmed out. You've got this trade that is going to go through, most likely, between the Nets and the Kings. That's going to send... It's going to send Thornton over to the Nets for Evans and Jason Terry. Is that right? Yes. And any other pending trades that would affect today's games? I know there's talk about the Clippers and Knicks with Collison and Shump and Bullock. And who's the other guard?
Felton, I think.
Felton. That's right. which would mean good things for Collison if you have him in season-long leagues. Am I missing any major news out there, Drew?
Pau Gasol's out, and Dion Waiters and Anderson Varejao are out, and Derek Favors and Richard Jefferson are both game-time decisions. So that's other stuff floating around out there.
Yeah, I mentioned
And I
on
guess
Twitter.
the Patrick Beverly being, like, there's not really been a status update on him. That's sort of interesting for Jeremy Lin or James Harden. So
For sure. And we're going to talk a lot about this Houston-LA game because there is, obviously, there's just a lot of nuggets in this game. Jody Meeks, speaking of, is reportedly active for tonight's game for the Lakers. And then you have Nick Young and Steve Nash and what other point guards out there not going to be playing. Steve Blake's going to be playing. But it's going to be Steve Blake and Kendall Marshall, basically. No Nash, no Young. And Jody Meeks also going to be taking more shooting guard minutes. So I want to talk about that Lakers and Houston game. We'll just basically start with this game as far as who we like, who we don't like. The big question I have, like Dwight Howard, I know his price is relatively high. He's a good play. Like going up against his old, you got revenge factor. You've got how terrible the Lakers are against their bigs. Like I really like Dwight Howard. I'm guessing Drew does as well. Drew, do you?
Oh, that's the part where I talk?
No, like just nod your head yes or no. Okay. And I don't know about Scott. Scott, nod your head yes or no. Okay. So we all like Dwight Howard. The big question for this Houston team that I have is Terrence Jones. Like we know how bad the Lakers are against their bigs. So Terrence Jones, his game logs have been kind of like a mixed bag right before the All-Star break. Thoughts on trusting Terrence Jones in your cash game lineups tonight, Drew?
I'm always focused on price. So,
you gave like the best sigh ever.
well, it's tough because like I'm always focused on price, and the price for him is really compelling. On Draft Street, it's under 9. On DraftDay, it's under 9. On DraftKings, it's under 6. Like those are all really good price points for Terrence Jones. It's all just really compelling. So I'll take my chances against the Lakers, who are so bad on the boards, and he's not going to. It's not a situation where he's going to get moved off the floor with the matchup. Like sometimes against really big power forwards, he can get muscled around and kind of fade off. So I think it's a good spot for him, and I think it's a great price tag. So I don't mind using him. I'm more likely to use him, even though I like Dwight a lot. I'm more likely to use him than I am Dwight simply because of the price.
Scott?
Yeah, I'm about the same. If his price is down, like it's really hard to just not take the value there, especially with there not being a ton of mid-range value anywhere right after the All-Star break. Yeah, I don't love playing him. I would like to double up on Drew's sigh. I really don't like playing Terrence Jones. He scores 17 fantasy points every single time I play him, but I mean the matchup's too good to just totally ignore him for what his price is at.
Add me to the collective sigh list because I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be trusting Terrence Jones or not for cash game lineups. Like I want to. I really do. But I think there is a lot more risk than what people might think. So it's going to be interesting. I think I have mixed feelings on tonight. I will say that as far as my contrarian view, I think, maybe you guys agree, I don't know. But my contrarian view, my Davis Maddock view, is that Kyrie Irving is a good play for tonight. Like that would be the whoa factor. So, Scott, you're actually nodding your head yes. Are you in agreement in this camp?
Yeah, I love Kyrie tonight. I think he's a great play tonight.
Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, he's at home. We all know he's better at home. I mean, lot of last night was like foul trouble, and they just didn't need him in the fourth quarter. I mean, he's probably gonna get you the 45 you were hoping to get from him last night. The Magic aren't particularly good defense. Jameer Nelson's not any good on defense at all. I mean, I can't argue with it. The only thing you can complain about is his price.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would agree with the price thing. Drew, can you give that look that you gave initially when we mentioned Kyrie Irving?
I mean, it was visceral. Yeah, the name Kyrie Irving after last night was just too much for me. I was at a point where I wasn't going to have him in any of my lineups. I did get him in one. Thankfully, it came with Tyler Zeller, so it wasn't too big of a change. But I don't know. I just don't trust that guy in cash game lineups, and that's kind of what I was dealing with last night, even in a great matchup. And then I ended up with him. I didn't even realize that I could have just played Dragic instead for the same exact price on DraftStreet, and that would have made so much more sense. But yeah, he's better at home, and without Dion Waiters, his minutes are a little bit more secure. And then you've got, also the outside. I don't think it really has a huge impact, but the outside implications of Jarrett Jack's name being tossed around in trades. So I think he's a better bet to. I think he's a better bet to hit value at home, but I just don't like that price tag enough to really pay it anywhere. So I think he's a great tournament play because when he's on, he's great. And when he's not, like last night, he's terrible. I don't know if I can trust him in cash games anymore.
And that's understandable as far as not being able to trust him. But yeah, Scott, I think a lot of people are going to not really realize the situation of what happened in the game last night. As far as him getting 3 early fouls and only playing, I think, 14 minutes, 13 or 14 minutes in the first half. And then, like, Zeller just went nuts. Like, he just went crazy. And Dion Waiters had a good first half. By the time they got in the third quarter, like, they just didn't need him anymore. And tonight, I think it's going to be a little bit of a different story. Waiter's going to be out. Verjao going to be out. So I think that rolling with Kyrie, with the expectation that his price tag is high, so he's going to have to do really well to pay off. But rolling him out tonight, I'm not against. In fact, he is in. I think he's currently on my FanDuel team right now. So that's kind of where I am on him. As far as the whole Zeller thing, obviously, I mean, Drew kind of talked me into this play yesterday, and I thank him for it. But thoughts on Zeller and Tristan tonight with Verjao being out, and the Waiters news with, I guess, C.J. Miles or Jarrett Jack. Like, those are the two angles with this Cavs team. And I just thought of a third one, Luol Deng being on the trade market. So there's a lot going on with this this Cavs team. Scott, I'll start with you on where you kind of see things.
I'm not really liking anyone on the Cavs outside of Kyrie. I mean, Zeller, like, you could go back to and get probably like 20 or 25 fantasy points if he gets 30 minutes again, but man, he was just so bad. I was terrified to play him last night, and he ended up being just about my only good play last night. And I don't know. I don't really like playing Tristan. I played Tristan last night because it was the Sixers. I will go back to Tristan again. Like you mentioned with Deng and Jack, they're both on the trade block. I don't really know what they're going to do with minutes there. They can play C.J. Miles a heck of a lot more than the 12 minutes he played last night. They can always play Bennett more at the 3 and the 4.
Oh, Bennett. I forgot about freaking Bennett. And Davis is going to rub that one in my face, but he didn't really get any significant stats until garbage time. So
yeah, he didn't do much until it got out of hand in the fourth quarter. There.
Yeah.
He turned it into a double-double somehow.
Yeah, so Davis tweeted, "Oh, Anthony Bennett not a thing, Soccer Dave." But he played the garbage time in the fourth quarter. Like, if he didn't have that garbage time, he wouldn't have been a thing, Davis. But yeah, I've forgot about the whole Bennett angle. Drew, where are you on this Cavs team tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Tyler Zeller is, like, he's fine in ideal plus matchups because, he's like a competent rotation big. But they're capping his minutes he only played 25 last night, and granted that was in a blowout, but the most he's played is 27 in a start. So the upside isn't really there unless he's playing Philadelphia. And Vucevic is a whole different animal on the boards that anybody Philadelphia has. So I'm not really on Zeller tonight. As a minimum priced option on a site with flexibility like DraftKings, doesn't really bother me. But there's other center values that if you're only able to play one center, I don't see the need to use Zeller tonight. And there's other power forward values as well. Like I'd rather play Thomas Robinson than Tyler Zeller tonight.
Yep.
Agreed. On the opposite side, you've got Vooch, who like everyone was kind of hyping him up last night. Had a decent first half. Didn't get a lot of minutes in the second half, and I went back and looked at the game log because I did not watch that much of that Magic game until like he actually was playing in it. He exited in the second half around the 5-minute mark, 5-minute mark, and didn't come back in until around the 4-minute mark in the fourth quarter. So he only got like 11 or 12 minutes in the second half, which kind of stunk. Looking at the game logs, though, it looked like he was coming in for O'Quinn, and O'Quinn got fouled and then missed his second free throw, and then there was like up and down play until that 4-minute mark. So I think that he would have gotten an additional 2 to 3 minutes to get up to where he has been around the 30 to 31 minute mark. So people wondering about Vooch's minutes, I think it's okay to say that he's going to play around his normal allotment of minutes tonight, and that he is a fairly decent play. So that's kind of where I am on this game. Jameer Nelson, he had a really good game last night. His price tag is still incredibly sexy across the industry. Someone mentioned in chat, though, that they are actively shopping him, and they're concerned. I haven't seen anything as far as like any major development, so I'm just going to assume that he's going to be playing tonight. Drew,
nobody wants Jameer Nelson. So
what's that?
I don't think you have to worry about that.
Because no one wants his contract?
I'll follow up on your Vucevic note. Is Mike had this really great stat in the rundown today that the Cavs have a 52.5 rebounding rate with Anderson Varejao on the floor, which would be good enough as a team for third in the NBA, but without him, it's 48.4, which means they grab 48.4% of the rebounds, which would rank 25th in the NBA. So that's obviously a huge plus to a guy who gets a lot of his value from rebounding in Vucevic not having Varejao in the game.
Yeah. So, Vooch is definitely in play again for me tonight. Now, you got Vooch, you've got Howard, you've got Tyson Chandler if you want to go revenge factor.
Chris Kaman.
Okay. Scott, you said Chris Kaman, but I'll go ahead and just let you get out your Al Jefferson and Chris Kaman love right now. Is Chris Kaman a thing for you tonight?
I like Chris Kaman quite a bit.
Even with
they
his
don't
price?
have anyone else they can play.
Well, this is true.
He's been amazing. I don't really like Chris Kaman's game all that much, but as long as he can stay out of foul trouble, I don't see a way he doesn't get the 35 fantasy points in this game.
Don't do it, Scott. Don't do it.
I know you don't. I know you don't trust D'Antoni, but
no, I don't trust us. Don't say as long as he doesn't get into foul trouble, because then next thing you know, like Brandon Knight randomly trips in the vicinity of Anthony Davis, and it's his third foul in like 6 minutes.
Don't even remind me of that. I was just looking at Anthony Davis's game log. Oh, that was such a bad night because of that.
That was a terrible night.
That's the big concern with Kaman for me. Is I think he's a really good play. I'm just really worried about him getting in foul trouble against Dwight because we haven't really seen him play against a really good center since probably the last time he was in foul trouble. And he's just not a good defender. He doesn't move his feet. He reaches a lot. It's really risky to play Kaman tonight with how high his price is getting.
And now go ahead and throw in the obligatory Al Jefferson love.
Al Jefferson's just going to be a stud tonight, as usual. He almost triple-doubled last night against the Pistons. I can't really see him I mean, they were doing some interesting stuff on defense last night, and they don't usually do anything on defense. So I can't see a way they can stop him unless they just start throwing like crazy double teams at him and leave guys all kinds of wide open shots.
Yeah. Are you worried at all about the back-to-back, a travel day versus with him or Kemba tonight? Because I kind of like Kemba, but someone also pointed out that he played 43 minutes last night, traveling. So, like, is that?
I'd be a little more worried about Kemba because he's been dealing with the injury problems more recently. Al Jefferson's been pretty I mean, he's been fine on back-to-backs lately, even with travel days and stuff like that. He went from home against Dallas to away at Brooklyn and struggled a little bit last time, but a couple of these other games, I don't love the back-to-back, but I mean, it really depends on price for me. I don't want to play an absolute premium for him tonight, but he seems a little discounted still everywhere, except Draft Street, of course.
Our buddy Nab Mello says Kemba's young, play him. So there we go.
The other thing I'll say about the minutes is that I watched that game and I got the other takeaway, which was that I think Charlotte's intentionally shortening the bench against Detroit because this is their primary competition right now for the A seed. So I think they're treating this set of games more like a playoff series than any other team. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both Jefferson and Walker play extended minutes again. And I was just looking at their schedule.
It's
and they
so
don't
weak.
They
don't play anyone good.
Yeah, so like locking up all these wins is pretty meaningful. And they're home for the next two games after this. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more extended time. Like, they've got this 4 games in 5 days, and then they don't play for, like, another week, which is really weird. But I wouldn't be surprised to see extended minutes again for both Jefferson and Walker.
Okay, so, Drew, if you had to choose between Walker and Kyrie where they're the same price, who would you go?
I'd play Kemba.
Okay.
They're not the same price anywhere, are they?
I think FanDuel they are.
Oh, okay.
Scott, if you had the choice of playing Al Jeff or Dwight in a cash game, who would you choose?
Same price, probably Dwight.
Okay. But for a little bit of a discount, maybe Al Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, any like even remotely significant discount, I'll probably just take Al Jeff. He's a little bit safer, in my opinion, too.
Oh, gosh. What are you doing to me, Scott? Trying to trip me up with Al Jefferson.
I'd play Al Jeff before Dwight.
Really?
Oh,
you're an Al Jefferson fan too, Drew. I don't know. Like both of you guys are big Al Jefferson fans.
You can sub Al Jefferson fan with smart man also.
Both of you are smart man fans. Okay, that didn't work. Let's talk. Let's talk about some more of these games going tonight. Indiana versus Minnesota. Kevin Love tore up the Pacers last time, but his price tag is really expensive. Not expensive, just expensive. And on the Indiana side, you've got Paul George, who tore it up last night, and Stevenson. So as far as those 3 players, where are you at right now, Scott?
Man, I don't like playing Pacers outside of Lance Stevenson is my problem.
I was forced into it last night, I think, on Draft Street. I had to play Paul George. And it actually worked out okay. Now, Lance Stevenson had kind of a subpar game. Definitely wasn't a game that we were hoping to get out of him if he was on your roster. I don't know if you have to play these guys tonight. I think I'd rather play Lance Stevenson than Paul George, though, for sure. Like, Lance Stevenson's price tag is still not that high compared to what he's capable of doing in that shooting guard, small forward spot. So I think I'd rather go Stevenson. As far as Love, he's just too expensive. I don't know if I'm going to be paying for Love tonight. Drew? You're the guy who likes to pay for love, correct?
I do, but not tonight.
Bad boy. So not tonight. What about Paul George?
Yeah, I'm like the president of the Paul George fan club, apparently, because I'm the guy who's always like
Paul George and Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, well, the Dwayne Wade, that ship has sunk. I'm abandoning. But Paul George, like this narrative that Lance Stevenson has been like taking over more of the team over the last month and a half is baloney, and it's annoying me that it's still out there because usage rates suggest that Paul George has been the exact same player every month of the season. The only difference is he shot the ball like crap for the last month and a half, 2 months. And so at some point the shooting is going to regress and he's going to be back to, worth 15.5%, 16% of the salary cap, and he's trading at 13.5% to 14% on a lot of sites. So for me, that's a buy opportunity. And he's been a big part of my recent cold streak on certain sites like FanDuel. But I believe that the shooting will regress. And when it does, you get big profit. And that's kind of what you were on the way to last night until his minutes sort of got cut. So I like him. I like him more than Stevenson on sites that they're priced fairly close, like a Draft Street. They're pretty close. On like a DraftKings where they're pretty far apart, I prefer Stevenson. But I like both guys tonight. They're playing way up in pace. Minnesota plays at the second fastest pace in the league. They're on the road. Neither guy played extended minutes last night, so the back-to-back factor isn't as big of a deal. So I like both guys tonight.
Oh, Drew, you're giving me a DFS chub right now with the whole pace and on the road. Oh, man. Also, we need to get you like a buy button that you can slap. That'd be nice. So, yeah, Stevenson, like I said, is the guy I think I'd rather roster than Paul George. But your stat yesterday about his shooting percentage, I didn't know exactly what it was, so I didn't say it on the show. But wasn't it around like 39, 47, 43, what his average is?
So from the start of the NBA season to the beginning of 2014, he shot like 47% from the field. From the start of 2014 till yesterday, he had shot 39% from the field. He's a career 43% shooter. So you average those out, and he's right around where he should be, but he's priced mostly off the last month and a half, so he's priced below where he should be. He was way too expensive early in the season when he was going nuts, and I'm a guy who's more sensitive to valuation than anything else because of my financial background, so I think now's a good time to buy George.
As far as with my financial background, oh gosh. As far as the second highest over-under tonight, it's this Spurs-Portland game. We need to mention that Thomas Robinson might be a thing tonight, as Davis says, because LaMarcus Aldridge is going to be out a week. That was probably the biggest news that I was failing to mention at the beginning of the show. So we talked about this a little bit on Twitter, Scott, but you say that Batum is probably the biggest winner playing the stretch 4 position tonight. So you've got Thomas Robinson and Robin Lopez are pretty much the only two bigs that the Blazers are going to be able to roll out there tonight against the Spurs. And then you have Batum and Darrell Wright that might be playing some of those minutes there at the 4. Batum is a guy I think is definitely a sexy play, not just because he's French, draft cheat, but because of that spending all those minutes at the 4 tonight, and he's just going to get a lot of run. But so is Thomas Robinson and Lopez. Like, out of those 3, like, are you comfortable with playing at least 2 of those in cash game lineups, or just picking one and rolling? Scott.
I like a lot of Blazers tonight, actually. I'm pretty high on Mo Williams also.
I bet you are.
I think they'll play a lot of 2-point guard stuff with Batum at the stretch 4 and run that pick and pop with Batum quite a bit. I think Thomas Robinson for the minimum is a great play. They got to find somebody to take on 25 shots from LaMarcus Aldridge. So if you assume Thomas Robinson gets 8 or 10 of those, maybe he gets a couple more, maybe he gets a couple less. You've still got 10 to 15 shots you've got to spread around to Lillard, Batum, Wes Matthews, maybe Robin Lopez a little. I think all these guys are underpriced a little bit with Aldridge out of the lineup. It's, like I said, 35 to 40 minutes and 20 to 25 shots. I like Batum the best. I'm not a guy that plays Lillard very often, although I'm pretty high on him tonight also. I think he'll probably get Clips 20 shot attempts tonight, which is always good for him. I'm a little worried about his assists. He gets a lot of gimme assists on that just pick and pop with Aldridge, which I don't know if he's going to get as much of that tonight with Batum and Robinson manning that more often. But I would guess his scoring is above his season average tonight. I'm focusing on Batum, Robinson, and Mo Williams for the three guys that I'm using the most off of Portland.
Fair enough. Drew?
Batum, Thomas Robinson, who's the third guy, Scott?
Mo Williams.
Mo Williams is the other guy I like a lot. If he's close to the minimum, obviously, if he's priced like way up, he's been playing pretty decent, but
yeah,
like I think he'll get close to 30 minutes tonight. And I know he's like 3,700 on DraftKings, and he has another good price somewhere. I saw that I had him in my lineup. So
yeah, I would echo a lot of the things that Scott said. One of the things that I like to do is I like to print off depth charts and then just like cross guys off when they're injured. To just see kind of the impact of the rotation. And you look at Portland, and they only have two healthy bigs. I mean, it's Thomas Robinson and Robin Lopez. So even if they go small for a lot of the game, Thomas Robinson's going to have to play 30 minutes, barring any sort of crazy foul trouble or injury or whatever. They don't have enough big guys on the court. So even if they go small between Lopez and Thomas Robinson, you've got 48 minutes to split there. Plus, maybe half the game small, half the game big, 24 minutes at the power forward. That's 72 minutes for two players. That's a lot of minutes for both those guys. So I like both those. I like Robinson the most. I like Batum next most because of the things Scott talked about. The other thing about Batum is he's one of these guys that's a real low usage rate player. And so you take out a high usage rate player like Aldridge, and you start to spread that around, and it probably has more impact on Batum than some of the other Blazers. So I would list my order of preference with the Blazers with Robinson, then Batum, then Lopez. Then I would get into like the reserve guard area because I think like Scott said, Mo Williams. I think that's the area where you see the biggest uptick because if they do go small, that's the extra body that's going to come on the floor. It's probably going to be Mo Williams or CJ McCollum.
Yeah, CJ McCollum. I don't think you have to play tonight. He would be strictly a GPP play. I do like Thomas Robinson. Like in those, like if you've watched, there have been certain games. I forget. Maybe it was against the Kings. Revenge game factor. I don't know. But watching Thomas Robinson play when LaMarcus Aldridge was in foul trouble, like he has done really well in stints this year. And as an aside, I was telling the guys, the Fantasy Insiders guys earlier today, like his story. I've always been a Thomas Robinson fan since college because of his story, like his mom and grandma dying, and then him living with the Morse twins there at Kansas, and then bringing his sister and raising her. Like he's just a good guy to cheer for. That has no sort of DFS relevance. Just a thing as far as like I like to cheer for him when he's in games, even if I don't have him. So tonight, though, I think a double-double is like it's going to be hard for him not to get a double-double tonight. That's what I'll say. Like I will guarantee a Thomas Robinson double-double. And if anybody wants to challenge that, I'll cut you. No, I think that he's certainly in play and Batum is in play. And if you want to roster three, I think for me, I'm the same with Drew. Lopez is the third guy. I know Mo Williams is cheaper out there, so I'm not having a problem taking Mo Williams. It's just probably it's not going to be my style.
And people are asking in the chat about Lillard because I didn't touch on Lillard, and that's my fault because I so far had only looked at salary pricing on DraftKings and FanDuel or DraftKings and DraftStreet, where he's kind of expensive on both those two sites. But I just quickly scanned through my sheets, and he's fairly cheap everywhere else. Like DraftDay under 12K, FanDuel 7.5, StarStreet, around like 11 or 12. Like I'm cool with Lillard at all those prices. I'm less excited about using him on DraftKings and DraftStreet, where he's like almost 15 on DraftStreet and 8 on DraftKings.
Yeah, his oh my gosh. Jordan Case in the chat. I don't even know what to do with you. So anyways, let's move on to the Spurs rotation. People were keep on talking about Patrick Mills' revenge game. The thing about Patrick Mills is on most sites his salary is like pretty high. Last night he had a really good game, and we thought that maybe it would be Corey Joseph's game, but no, it wasn't. With Tony Parker out, Patrick Mills was the guy that was hot and was crushing it. And the second highest over-under, you've got Duncan on a back-to-back, which is a little worrisome, especially on the road. Thoughts?
I don't think he's playing tonight.
You don't think he is?
No.
Have we seen anything, or is that just thinking
there's
that?
No news on it. I'm telling you, like, one, Popovich has a history of sitting all their guys against Portland, like, all the time. Like, look at all their game logs against Portland, and they consistently sit guys. The second part of this is they've got another game on Friday, and that would be 3 and 4 nights for Duncan, and he played 38 minutes last night. I think they take that win last night, they put it in the bag to say, you know what, give Timmy some rest against Portland without Aldridge, and then make sure that he's fully healthy for Friday's game. So I would not roster Duncan on any cash game lineup tonight, and I think his price is actually pretty good across the industry. The matchup would be good, but I wouldn't do it on any cash game lineup that doesn't have a late swap.
Yeah, I'm not playing Duncan at all, and I think if we get word that he is out, especially on late swap sites, like Dial would be a very interesting option there. Someone mentioned it in the chat. Like, he definitely would be in play. He was in play last night with how low his salary was with Duncan in play. So Dial definitely would be in play. Splitter still questionable. Have we seen any specific news on Splitter or Cowie? No?
Nope. Both questionable.
Yep. So we don't have news. It's a late game, so we might not get news. But if you want to create, like, on late swap sites, like a GPP lineup and leave some room in case Duncan does not play, would be interesting. If there's no Duncan, no Parker, like, who steps up for this team? Is it like Danny Green has just appeared kind of lost out there? We talked about DL, but would you be comfortable in going Danny Green tonight, Scott?
Nope.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Corey Joseph, like Bellinelli, I guess, would be the guy.
Yeah, I'd feel a little better about Bellinelli than Green, probably. He just looks like he's got more confidence right now.
Yeah, Bellinelli looked good last night. And I was on Team Fade Bellinelli, and it didn't go well. But definitely Bellinelli, DL would be the two guys that I would probably want to target.
Oh, the other thing I should note, because somebody is bringing it up in the chat now, that Mills had like 7 to 8 more minutes than Joseph last night. Part of that's the fact that he was playing very well.
Yeah.
But the other part of that is that Manu's back. And when Manu's back, that allows Mills to play a little bit more because Pop doesn't really like Mills running the offense. That's why Corey Joseph starts most of the games when Tony Parker's out. So I think Mills being back, or Manu being back, helps Mills get a slight minutes edge on Corey Joseph going forward, just because Pop's much more comfortable with Mills playing kind of the combo shooting guard role.
Okay, so where Mills is, let's just forget what site it was, but I think Mills is 4,800. This might be DraftKings. Mills is 4,800, and Kojo is 3,700 or 3,900. Would you rather have Mills than Kojo?
Yeah, I think I would, but I probably wouldn't look at either situation. But I think I'd rather have Mills if I was forced to choose between the two.
Yeah, it'd be the same.
The other part of that is when you're talking about like constructing your lineup for late game swaps tonight, there's a lot of late game value to be had, whether it's, picking on Portland reserves, whether it's if San Antonio guys sit, if, Golden State, you already know Bogut's out, so you've got some fallback options there. So I don't think it's a bad night to kind of set your lineup up. If Duncan gets announced out late, you've got you've got optionality with a Diao, but there's also other parts that you can pick on, even if Duncan plays, just because there's so many cheap guys in late games because of all the injuries. Cousins, too.
Yeah. And Scott, we talked about this last week with the whole great late swap debate. As far as the strategy of on late swap sites doing a 2-for-2, where you construct a lineup in such a manner that you have like this kind of backup plan for if big news breaks that you're expecting, either one way or the other. But a 2-for-2, meaning that you would want to take out two guys of your existing lineup and replace like with Diao and somebody else that would fit that lineup in those late game swap sites. So I definitely think that is a strategy to go by. Sometimes I just do the 1-for-1, and it can burn you. Like where you play, like where I put Diao in my main lineup and say, well, if he doesn't play, I'll just swap him with somebody else, and then you're left with like a really bad player that screws your whole lineup. So definitely at the 2-for-2 or even a 3-for-3 if you can't make it work. When you know those guys are going to like Diao is going to be, I'm telling you, if Duncan's not playing tonight, Diao is going to be a good play. And I might have just jinxed myself, but there's no splitter. Most likely, I'm not guessing splitter returns tonight. So no splitter, no Duncan. If Duncan does indeed rest, it's going to be all the minutes for Diao, and screw Aaron Baines and Jeff Ayers, because you never know what those guys are going to do. Those jokers. And Bonner's out too, isn't he?
No, Bonner's fine.
He is?
Did something happen to Bonner?
Well, he's got like 8 broken noses. So I thought, did he play last night?
He's listed as probable.
Okay.
I believe. Oh wait, that's an old news blurb. Never mind.
Find out for me, would you?
I'll work on that.
Let's move on, because there's lots of games and I think we've stuck to the main points, the good pieces for tonight. But this Warriors game with Bogut being out, O'Neal starting. So yes, he is starting. Thoughts on David Lee and O'Neal versus this Kings team without Boogie tonight? Boogie's doubtful.
I think O'Neal and Draymond are pretty good fallback options for Diao if you want to gamble on Duncan being out.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to like David Lee, too. I prefer Draymond to Jermaine O'Neal, even though he's not starting. I think he'll probably play like mid-20s minutes off the bench, and I'd rather have mid-20s minutes from Draymond than I would from Jermaine O'Neal. I think they'll be pretty close in minutes. David Lee's the best play by far. He's a little underpriced everywhere because of those games he was missing. So I really like David Lee tonight. The problem is like there's so many big guys you want to play tonight with like Dwight Howard and Al Jefferson and guys like that it's hard to find a spot for David Lee is really the only problem I have with him at all.
Screw David Lee.
David Lee is like, I think on the only site really that I think, well, I haven't checked. Drew, what's his price on Draft Street?
16.
Yeah, so that's a little bit too much for me, but and Scott has him at 12.3 over there at DraftDay. FanDuel, where he's under 8K and can he was the last for right now. He was the last piece for me, and he fit just perfectly. But under 8K over there on FanDuel, I think, is a pretty decent option, especially if you're not rolling with Terrence Jones. You guys are going to make me play Terrence Jones
too. I think.
What's that?
That's pretty good. I think he's like 7.5 on DraftKings. DraftKings, DraftDay, and FanDuel. He's pretty well priced.
All right, and people are also asking about Curry. The thing with this trade, and Drew and you and I were talking a little bit off the air about it, is that Thornton is going to get traded. Thornton's minutes have to go somewhere. McLemore is going to get the majority of the minutes tonight. Therefore, McLemore's terrible at defense. This is setting up for an interesting Klay Thompson play, where his salary is a lot lower than what it was. because McLemore is going to be guarding Clay and playing Curry tonight. I'm not opposed to playing Steph tonight. Tell me that I'm correct in saying that, Drew.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to be afraid of Curry in this matchup. Isaiah Thomas, he's an okay on-ball defender when he pressures guys, but he has no help on the defense whatsoever behind him. So he gives up penetration, and Curry, it's one of the guys that Curry can shoot right over too. So I don't mind Curry. The Clay thing, I think you're on point that McLemore is a really bad defender, and there are other options to mess around there aren't great either. So I think that's a decent spot for Clay. He's not someone I'm actively targeting because he's
Clay Thompson.
He's mad to me. Like he's always between like 18 and 27 points. There's not a lot there, so it's more of a price thing to me. It wouldn't surprise me if he had a really good night tonight, though, based on the matchup. The Kings side of the ball is the one that's really interesting to try to figure out because not only do they lose Thornton in those minutes, which will go to McLemore, you've got the news that Isaiah Thomas had this MRI, and he's got strained ligaments. You've got Jimmer Fredette, who's battling like an illness.
What?
So they're really banged up.
I didn't know about Jimmer. I knew about the sprained ligaments, and just to clarify for Drew, it's his wrist. So he's expected to play tonight.
Yeah, he's gonna play through it. It's just that there's not a lot of depth there. And Jimmer returned to practice on Tuesday after missing practice on Monday with an illness. So I think Jimmer will be fine, but if Jimmer's picking up minutes in the backcourt as well, that's not a great defensive situation either.
No.
So,
I'm telling you, this team is so bad defensively. Let's see, what is the line currently?
I saw 5 last time I looked.
Is that what you have as well?
It's probably a little higher than that now, I would guess. 8. Ooh, 8. No, I have down to 4 now. That's
what? How does that even make sense?
Yeah, on Pinnacle, I have
it might be coming down because Bogut ruled out.
Yeah, but you have
true.
Boogie. I know this is at the Sleep Train Arena, so that could be good trivia one day. We could do arena names.
I will get 0 right. United Center. There, win.
You know what you should know after All-Star Game what it's called, right?
I have no idea.
The Smoothie King Center?
Is that really what it's called?
Yes, the Smoothie King Center.
Fantastic name.
Be even better if they swapped with Sacramento. Anyways, I spent too much time talking about arena names. So yeah, that's as far as Jason Thompson, yay or nay on him?
I'd rather play Thomas Robinson.
Meh.
Meh. Is that a meh? Meh.
Look, somebody is going to do well between Jason Thompson and Derek Williams. I have no clue which one of those two guys is going to do well. So
I hope it's Aaron Gray.
So good luck in tournaments with them. Set a couple different lineups with one or the other. I think one of them will do really, really well, but it's a big risk, even at modest price points, just because there's so much other value around the industry that I don't think you need to force it.
All right, let's talk about some of these other games going on tonight. Some of these high-scoring games, like the Suns and Celtics. Suns are straight up on fire. Goran, Gerald Green, those guys in play for you tonight, or is their salary too high? Scott?
Probably too high if you're trying to play guys like Al Jefferson and Dwight Howard and Steph Curry. I mean, they're just really hard to pay for.
Drew?
I like Gerald Green, though. I always like Gerald Green at home. I really liked him last night. Did not play him, obviously.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, Green's price is more acceptable to me on the non-efficiency sites like DraftKings and FanDuel. He's priced fine. I know on DraftStreet, once he gets above 10 for me, that's a no deal on DraftStreet. On DraftDay, he's there's so many greens. He's over 10, so that's too much for me as well. And they're going to play way down in pace, most likely. Boston just plays really, really slow. They're coming off a back-to-back that was also an overtime game, so I don't see the need to really force it tonight.
All right. I would agree. You don't have to force it really with either side. Celtics, you look at anybody. I saw Brennan Bass might have been a good value, I think, on one of the sites. But other than that, no Celtics really jumped out at me. Drew, you're the Celtics expert.
No, I didn't see anything in their values either when I was looking around that I really liked. Obviously, Rondo, there was a time where he was trading at a pretty nice price, but now it's pretty much corrected. Sullinger's pretty elevated after his string of obscenely easy matchups that he just torched, and as soon as he got some tough matchups, he was back to being meh Sullinger.
Yeah.
Not really interested.
Knicks and the Pelicans. If this have you guys seen anything more about this trade between the Knicks and the Clippers? If something does happen, I guess people would want to know, like, if the game has already started, they're not going to not play these guys. But if for some reason Felton and Shump get pulled, if something comes in the next 2 hours, then what's the play here as far as, like, I'm looking more at the shooting guard situation with Tim Hardaway, who was on fire last night, still minimum salary a few different places.
He's such a pain in the ass.
He's a GPP play for sure.
2 games ago when JR sat,
yeah,
and he posted one of the worst lines of the season. Like it was like 30+ minutes of negative draft street points. So I was really bitter that he had a good performance last night. But yeah, he'd be the guy that would benefit. Yeah,
and I guess the other guy that we should talk about, because Davis said it's not going to happen today. So
I mean, here's the thing: like, the Knicks get reported in every rumor possible because they're trying so hard to upgrade a team and they have no assets, so they're searching on everything. They're not going to get deals done because they have no assets. So, like, if they're really sticking to, like, they have to give up Felton's contract as well in this situation, I don't think it's getting done today either.
Melo against the Pelicans and Davis against the Knicks. I don't have him. I don't have either of these guys anywhere. Scott, your thoughts? I mean, I feel like this is like one of those nights where no one's targeting Anthony Davis. He's going to go for 60. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that happens with Anthony Davis. But
yeah, I really like Anthony Davis tonight. I think he's a great play, but
I'm just going to act like I didn't hear that.
I wrote him up as a lock today, but I mean, he's really tough to play with Al Jefferson and Dwight out there.
Scott, remember that one time
he's got that discount from the 20-minute game he played right before the break.
Yeah, remember that one time you had him as a lock right before All-Star break?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody did that night. I will not apologize for that.
That was all my fault.
I really feel like it was my fault.
No, I'm the one who said, as long as he doesn't get into foul trouble. And I don't see any way he could get into foul trouble against that Bucks front line.
Yeah.
Like, I said those words, and then he had 4 fouls in 6 minutes.
The freaking Brandon Knight sneezed in his direction, and they called a foul on Anthony Davis early in the early in the third. It was terrible.
You just got to play him. You got to play him at the Slurpee Magnificence Center or whatever it's called.
Smoothie King.
Smoothie King. There you go.
Slurpee Magnificent. I don't even know where that came from.
I would play it.
That's a synonym for Smoothie King.
Yeah.
That's their biggest rival.
Oh, the Slurpee Magnificent over there on Jefferson Street. Yes, I knew it well. Not really a thing. So, let's see. 80's a lock to go off now from Davis. Auto Crush says, what about Brian?
I will say this. I think Davis is a really great tournament play for all the reasons we just talked about. And especially so on, like, Draft Street, where he's 17K. That's $3K cheaper than where he's been most of the year. The price discounts on sites like FanDuel that don't price adjust really rapidly aren't really there, but the ones that adjust pretty rapidly, I think he's an awesome tournament play because of all the reasons we've talked about. Like, people are going to be frustrated about the last performance. The Knicks aren't a team that shows up as an easy matchup, so he's not going to rate up really well in a lot of projection systems. And everybody's going to be on Dwight and Jefferson. So, I mean, I think he's an ideal tournament play.
Yeah, I would agree. And now I'm going to have to get at least one lineup with Anthony Davis in there. Slurp. Tuttle says that we should name the TV page the Slurpy Magnificent Center, and then Al says, why is this Slurpy Magnificent Center in a British accent? I guess it was just because I was thinking King, Drew said synonym, and King and Magnificent would have been the two words, because Slurpy and Smoothie would have been the two words. So King and Magnificent for me was in a British accent. Like so-and-so the Magnificent. I don't know either, to be honest. We'll have to see about that. The last game before we do the rapid fire, and Scott, you have to go.
Wait. The chat keeps asking about Brian Roberts. What do you want to know about Brian Roberts? What's
well, Drew Holiday's not coming back for another week, so Brian Roberts is in play. His salary's in that kind of that meh range.
He's the same boring Brian Roberts that he always
Drew,
is.
the people want to know whether he's going to score 18 or 21 fantasy points tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm still upset with you that Courtney Lee did not get exactly 25 fantasy points last night.
All bets are off once Mike Conley returns.
It's true. 'Tis true.
I just want some Pierre Jackson. That's all I want.
Pierre.
Sounds like the CEO of Slurpee Magnificence.
Oh my gosh. Scott, go. No, don't really. Stay so we can talk about this Brooklyn-Utah game. Utah playing with, obviously, we don't know if they're going to have Favors or not. Richard Jefferson also questionable. But Gordon Hayward playing in Jerry Sloan's honor tonight against Deron Williams and the Nets. Gordon Hayward tonight is a thing for me. He is a thing, a guy that is in play. Drew, why are you laughing?
In Jerry Sloan's honor.
Yes. I mean, He was done. He basically just said, fine, I quit. You want to be a dick? I quit. Like we could have had a few more years of Jerry Sloan, but no.
I'm checking now to make sure that Gordon Hayward was actually ever coached by Jerry Sloan, which he was. So I now
that was the first thing I was wondering.
I now respect the connection.
Even if he wasn't, you know how close. Sloan still attends Jazz games, so you know how close the Jazz and Sloan are. So as a representative for that team tonight, Gordon Hayward. Anyways. Let's talk about Hayward and Williams specifically, since that's really what people are going to want to know about. Scott, I'll start with you.
I think Darren's a pretty good tournament play. I don't think I'll have him anywhere outside of that. I really like playing point guards against the Jazz. I'm just not a big fan of where Darren Williams' price is and how well he's been playing. But, I mean, he's definitely got 50 fantasy point upside in this game. Hayward, I don't mind. His price has gone back up after that Philly game a little bit, and I just don't love him tonight.
Drew?
Yeah, I think if I'm mining for value on the Utah side, it's probably going to be Enes Kanter and Marvin Williams. I don't think Favors plays tonight. He didn't go through shoot-around, so I think that's a knock against him. Kanter's seemingly always in Corbin's doghouse, but his price is also pretty down because of it. Probably more of a tournament play because I don't think we'll get actual clarification on Favors before lineups lock. But somebody that I'd be interested on the Jazz side, and then Marvin. If no Richard Jefferson, if no Favors, Marvin's gonna have to play a ton. So, and he's been playing well.
And Jeremy Evans, y'all.
Yeah, Jeremy Evans.
Punt play.
Did some nice work.
Punt play.
On the Brooklyn side, I agree with Scott. I actually think Brooklyn's an interesting place to mine for tournament value. Darren Williams is a really good idea. I don't want to say Duran and get criticized again. Darren Williams is a really good idea. I think Sean Livingston's an interesting tournament play on Draft Street as well. He's under 7K there. And I know Jason Terry wasn't playing a lot, and Reggie Evans wasn't playing a lot, but it does condense the rotation some. It takes 2 guys out of play that could potentially take minutes. So I don't mind messing around with like Bloch, Livingston, Darren Williams. All more tournament plays for me than anything else, but all good tournament plays in my opinion.
Yeah, Livingston would be sexy, I think. As far as Gordon Hayward, who's going to guard Gordon Hayward tonight?
Probably Pierce.
Yeah. Has been. So, yeah, that's why I think that Gordon Hayward is a good play, especially in those nasty sites. Scott will let you go. Make sure you check out Scott's article the day before tomorrow there on DraftDay.com. If you click the strategy tab. Is the article up?
Yeah, it's up. I posted it right before the show.
You
I know. I'm getting faster with age.
Sly little dog. I will forego that faster with age comment and just let you go peacefully. So, Scott, thanks for joining us, and we're going to take a look at your rapid-fire picks. So, fire up the rapid-fire. If you go to DraftDay.com, you can go to the games and then click on rapid-fire NBA. Last night, we were 4 out of 5, or at least Davis and I were. I think Dan may have been 3 out of 5, with the only guy being... I forget who. But as far as tonight, Carmelo versus Dwight.
I'll take Dwight. I'll never take Carmelo, so Dwight.
Yeah, this is Dwight for sure. Al Jeff versus James Harden.
I'll take Al Jeff. This is one of those situations, though, where like if you're playing for the 5 for 5, I think you have to pick one of those 2 Rockets. If you're playing for just the trying to get 3 out of 5, it might make sense to hedge and take both because one of those Rockets is going to outscore the other guy.
Okay, so says Drew. But yeah, I'm going to take James Harden tonight. Kemba versus Kyrie. Interesting. This is what I was asking earlier. You said Kemba.
Yep.
I say Kyrie. You say Kemba. I say Kyrie. You say Al Jeff. I say Harden. No, it doesn't work. Kaman versus Lillard.
I'd play Lillard.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's so much safer.
But that just goes to show you how much that Scott likes Kaman that he put him in the same breath as Lillard because he's trying to set a trap. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to set a trap.
Kaman is 16K on Draft Street. And like I looked at that and I was like, God damn it, Draft Street, stop overcorrecting prices. And then I looked for the last 5 games and like he's 16K is the right price.
Yeah, good point, Davis. I meant Drew. Potty mouths. Draymond Green versus Thomas Robinson.
Thomas Robinson.
Drew, I just saw what you wrote in the chat. Bad boy. I will take Thomas Robinson. Again, I'm guaranteeing a double-double. So there you have it. Those are our picks for the day. Make sure, this is an easy one. Just go with the all right side. So Scott says we skew the picks. Hopefully we skew them in the right direction. If you have any questions in the chat, feel free to ask, and we will get to them. Sports is Fix. His question is, Rudy Gay, double question marks. Drew, do you want to take Rudy Gay tonight without Cousins?
I understand the appeal because he's going to get to shoot a ton. But on efficiency sites, like I'm out on that. Even with all the volume and shots against Iggy, like no thank you. I want no part of that. On non-efficiency sites, if you want to roll just on volume alone, I'm fine with it because the upside's there. And in tournaments on efficiency sites, I get it, but he will not enter a cash game lineup for me on an efficiency site, even with a depressed price.
Yeah, he's not in play for me right now. Davis said Iggy plays like he has hemorrhoids right now. I think that Iggy is specifically on FanDuel. I think that Iggy is a decent play without Bogut tonight. Like he has been pulling down more rebounds with Bogut out. So I think that would be the one place where I'd consider Iggy. Leon EM asks, no worries about Jeff's horrendous back-to-back the last couple of times he's played.
Yeah, it stands out that the last 2 games were the only 2 bad games he's had in like the last 15, and they've been on back-to-backs. But let me pull up his numbers for the season on 0 days rest because I don't think they're that different. So I think it's a recent issue, and I'll probably write it off, especially coming off of the break, and especially because Detroit's just so bad down low. I'm not as concerned. 0 days rest this year, he's averaging 19.9 points and 10.7 rebounds. On the season, he's averaging 20.3 points and 10.5 rebounds. So, like, no difference.
Yeah. There you go, Leon. Mills and Blake or Jameer and Gerald Green?
Mills and Blake?
I guess that would be... I would go definitely with the second one, Jameer and Gerald Green.
Yeah, I would too.
Lillard or Paul George? I'm going Lillard, and I'm thinking you're going Paul George on that.
Yeah, I am.
Any love for Bill? One word, no. Maybe the All-Star break did Iggy some good, says William. Maybe. He wasn't terrible though before. I mean, he was.
I'd like to see Davis pull up some data to support this idea that he's been garbage the last month, because I watched the game against the Heat where like LeBron went off, and Iggy's defense was really good that game. LeBron just was making crazy shots left and right. So, I mean, maybe Rudy can do that. Good luck to you.
Good luck. Let's see. Sorry, we already read that question. If Rudy doesn't go off for the Kings, get blown? If Rudy Gay doesn't go off, don't the Kings get blown? There's a lot of ways I can go with this question. No. I don't think that, like, if he doesn't go off, the Kings don't get blown. That's what I will say. Drew, I mean, you've already made this pretty much a R-rated show. Do you want to say anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well. Just the tip of the iceberg. Why does shooting guard suck so bad on FanDuel? It's just the nature of the game. I
should not be allowed to give FanDuel advice. Right? I should have to like win a game a week to be able to give FanDuel advice.
Yeah. I was riding a heater until last night where my lineup was the worst. Like, literally the worst. When you scroll down to all your games, and they just say, like, 17 out of 20, 19 out of 20, 20 out of 20. It's never a good feeling. Marshall or Blake? I'm going Marshall. Yeah. Okay. So we're on the same.
He's healthier of the 2 options by far.
We're on the same page. So I think that'll do it for the show. Drew, want to thank you for being on, even if you do bring a little bit of drama towards the end. Would you like to tell everybody where they can find the edited version of the Daily Fantasy Rundown?
Sure. The edited version is on rotoexperts.com under the Daily tab. You go over there, you'll see a giant banner with Mike and I and our bodies imposed on LeBron and Wade's faces or something like that. And we've got content throughout the season every single day. Site-specific cheat sheets for DraftKings, DraftStreet, and FanDuel, and then also a large column with daily analysis and scouting reports on position-by-position values and top plays across the industry. Either package comes with lineup alerts that are sent directly to your inbox with all the updated information you need to know before game time.
Well, there you have it. Papa Cub says that we skipped his question. He wants to know who is the top FanDuel play for tonight.
Top FanDuel play overall tonight?
I guess. Like, who do you need to play? For me, it's Thomas Robinson.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of pure value, for sure. If you're talking about like top overall scorer, I'd, oh man, I think I'd put my money on Al Jeff tonight for top overall score, but I think Thomas Robinson is the best play. And I don't think Dwight's far enough behind Al Jeff that I wouldn't mind playing Dwight at the cheaper price.
Yeah. If you're talking like Thomas Robinson and Batum are those guys for me, and then I think I'd rather have Dwight than Kamen or Al Jeff there. Sucks that you can only play one center there. However, on draft day, you can play multiple centers. So make sure you check out our sponsor, DraftDay.com. Jump in some games. They've been having some overlay with some of the qualifiers for the big 100K Hardwood Classic they have coming up in March. So you might want to jump in there. Drew, thanks for joining us. Scott, who is gone, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you maybe tomorrow for a little bit of a DFS Elite or a Fantasy Elite show, live draft show. But definitely on Friday, I will be joined with Dave Loughran and Mike Leone, and I will be forced to wear a bunny costume the whole show. The guys at Fantasy Insider, like my three other co-founders, have seen the picture of me wearing it. It's not going to be fun for me. It'll be fun for everybody else. It won't be fun for me. So make sure you tune in 3:30 Eastern Time. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we love you all. Bump.